In the quiet depths of forests, deserts, and rocky landscapes across several continents lives a creature that has perfected one of the most unusual defensive strategies in the animal kingdom. The porcupine, often recognized instantly by the forest of sharp quills covering its back, is a mammal that has turned vulnerability into strength. Unlike predators that rely on speed, sharp teeth, or coordinated attacks, the porcupine survives by presenting a warning to the world: approach carefully, or suffer the consequences. At first glance, the porcupine might appear slow and defenseless. Its movements are deliberate, almost cautious, and its body shape lacks the sleek form associated with animals built for speed. Yet this impression is deceptive. The porcupine's survival strategy does not rely on escape but on deterrence. Its body is covered with thousands of specialized quills, modified hairs made of keratin, that form a protective armor capable of discouraging even the most determined predator. Porcupines belong to a group of mammals known as rodents, a classification that may surprise some observers. Rodents are defined primarily by their continuously growing incisors, strong front teeth used for gnawing. Within this immense group, which includes animals such as beavers, squirrels, and rats, porcupines occupy a unique niche as large, slow-moving herbivores protected by formidable defenses. There are two main families of porcupines, separated not only by geography but also by evolutionary history. The Old World porcupines inhabit regions of Africa, Europe, and Asia, while the New World porcupines are found throughout North and South America. Though both groups share the defining characteristic of quills, their evolutionary paths diverged millions of years ago, producing differences in behavior, body structure, and habitat preferences. New World porcupines, for example, are often excellent climbers, spending much of their time in trees where they feed on leaves, bark, and fruit. Their prehensile tails help them balance and grip branches, allowing them to navigate forest canopies with surprising agility. Old World porcupines, by contrast, tend to live more terrestrially, inhabiting burrows and rocky shelters where they forage across the ground at night. Despite these differences, the most remarkable feature shared by all porcupines remains their quills. Each quill is a highly specialized structure formed from keratin, the same protein that makes up human hair and fingernails. But unlike ordinary hair, porcupine quills are thick, stiff, and incredibly sharp. Some species possess quills that can reach several centimeters in length. The quills are not thrown or launched as popular myths sometimes suggest. Instead, they detach easily when a predator makes contact with the porcupine's body. Tiny barbs near the tips of many quills cause them to lodge firmly into skin or muscle once embedded. As a predator struggles to remove them, the quills can sink deeper, making the experience both painful and dangerous. This defense system has proven so effective that relatively few animals regularly attempt to prey upon porcupines. Large predators such as mountain lions, wolves, and fishes may occasionally target them, but such attacks carry significant risk. A predator that receives quills in its mouth or face may suffer infections, injuries, or even death if the wounds become severe. Because of this powerful deterrent, porcupines often move through their habitats with a surprising degree of confidence. When threatened, a porcupine does not flee immediately. Instead, it may raise its quills, arch its back, and produce warning sounds such as rattling or chattering. If the threat persists, the porcupine may turn its back toward the predator and lash its tail, increasing the likelihood that the attacker will come into contact with the quills. While the defensive adaptations are extraordinary, porcupines are primarily peaceful herbivores whose lives revolve around foraging and shelter. Most species are nocturnal, emerging under the cover of darkness to search for food. Their diet varies depending on the region but commonly includes bark, leaves, stems, roots, fruit, and occasionally agricultural crops. One of the more surprising aspects of porcupine behavior is their appetite for tree bark. During winter months in colder climates, when fresh vegetation becomes scarce, porcupines may rely heavily on the inner bark of trees as a food source. Using their powerful incisors, they strip away the outer layers of bark to reach the nutrient-rich tissues beneath. Although this feeding behavior can sometimes damage trees, it also plays a role in shaping forest ecosystems. By pruning certain branches and influencing tree growth patterns, porcupines indirectly affect the structure and diversity of forest vegetation. Their ability to climb trees further expands their feeding opportunities. In North American forests, the North American porcupine is particularly well known for its climbing skills. With strong claws and a muscular tail used for balance, it ascends tree trunks with steady determination, often spending hours feeding among branches high above the forest floor. Yet life in the forest is not without its dangers. Despite the defenses, porcupines must remain alert to potential predators, environmental hazards, and competition for food. Their relatively slow movement means that careful habitat selection and shelter construction are essential for survival. Many porcupines spend daylight hours resting in hollow trees, rock crevices, or underground dens. These shelters provide protection from predators and harsh weather conditions. In colder regions, porcupines may return to the same den repeatedly throughout the winter months. Communication among porcupines is subtle but effective. They use scent markings, body posture, and occasional vocalizations to convey information to others of their species. During the breeding season, these signals become particularly important as individuals search for potential mates within overlapping territories. The reproductive cycle of porcupines is relatively slow compared to many other rodents. Females usually give birth to a single offspring after a gestation period that may last several months. At birth, the young porcupine, known as a porcupet, already possesses soft quills that harden within hours after entering the world. This early development of quills provides immediate protection, even for newborns. Within days, the young begin exploring their surroundings, gradually learning the behaviors that will guide them through life in the wild. The quiet, deliberate life of the porcupine may not appear dramatic at first glance, but beneath its calm exterior lies a story of evolutionary ingenuity. Through millions of years of adaptation, this animal has perfected a strategy that allows it to survive without speed, aggression, or complex social structures. Yet the story of the porcupine continues beyond its defenses and feeding habits. Its interactions with ecosystems, predators, and changing environments reveal a deeper narrative about resilience, balance, and the unexpected ways animals shape the landscapes they inhabit. As night spreads across the forest and the final light of the day fades into darkness, the porcupine begins the quiet routines that define its life. The world that seems calm and silent to human observers becomes active with subtle movement and hidden activity. In this dim landscape, the porcupine emerges from its resting place, stepping cautiously onto the forest floor or along the branches of a tree, guided by instinct and experience gathered over years of survival. The nocturnal lifestyle of the porcupine offers several advantages. Darkness provides protection from many predators that rely heavily on vision, and cooler nighttime temperatures reduce the physical stress of foraging. Moving slowly but deliberately, the porcupine navigates through dense vegetation, rocky terrain, or towering forest canopies with surprising confidence. Despite its slow pace, the porcupine is not an aimless wanderer. Its movements follow familiar routes through territories that it has learned intimately over time. These routes often lead to feeding sites where certain trees, shrubs, or plants provide reliable sources of food. Memory plays an important role in this process, allowing porcupines to return repeatedly to locations where nourishment is abundant. The diet of the porcupine reflects its adaptability. In warm seasons, fresh leaves, buds, fruits, and tender stems form the core of its meals. The animals, powerful in sizes, which grow continuously throughout life, are perfectly suited for gnawing through tough plant material. Each bite is a reminder of the rodent ancestry that connects porcupines to a much larger family of gnawing mammals. As seasons shift and winter approaches in colder regions, the porcupine's diet changes dramatically. Fresh vegetation becomes scarce, and the animal must rely increasingly on the inner bark of trees, known as cambium. This layer contains sugars and nutrients that can sustain the porcupine through harsh conditions when other food sources disappear beneath snow and ice. Although bark feeding can damage trees, the ecological effects are complex. By selectively feeding on certain species or branches, porcupines influence forest growth patterns. Some trees may weaken or die, opening gaps in the forest canopy that allow sunlight to reach the ground. In these openings, new plants may grow, creating greater biodiversity within the ecosystem. In this way, the porcupine becomes a subtle architect of the forest. Its feeding behavior shapes plant communities, alters habitat structure, and contributes to the dynamic processes that sustain forest ecosystems over long periods of time. While feeding is a central activity of the porcupine's life, survival also requires constant awareness of potential threats. Predators may still attempt to attack despite the risks posed by quills. Animals such as fishes in North America have developed specialized hunting techniques that allow them to target the vulnerable face or belly of a porcupine while avoiding its quills. These rare but dangerous encounters highlight the delicate balance between predator and prey. The porcupine's defense system deters most attackers, yet evolution ensures that some predators continue to test its limits. In the natural world, no defense is completely invulnerable. When threatened, the porcupine's response is both visual and physical. Its muscles tighten, causing quills to rise outward and create an imposing barrier of sharp points. The animal may stamp its feet, chatter its teeth, or produce warning noises designed to intimidate potential predators. If contact occurs, the porcupine can swing its tail with surprising speed, increasing the chance that quills will embed themselves in the attacker. These defensive behaviors have allowed porcupines to maintain a relatively stable presence across many ecosystems. Their populations may fluctuate depending on habitat conditions, but they rarely experience the dramatic collapses that affect species with fewer protective adaptations. Reproduction among porcupines follows a rhythm closely tied to seasonal conditions. During the breeding season, males may travel considerable distances in search of receptive females. These encounters can involve competition and displays of dominance, though outright conflict is relatively uncommon. Once mating occurs, the female begins a long gestation period that is unusual for a rodent. Instead of producing large litters like many smaller rodents, porcupines invest heavily in a single offspring. This strategy reflects the energy required to grow a well-developed young animal capable of surviving in challenging environments. When the porcupine is born, its body is already equipped with the essential features of the species. The quills, though initially soft and flexible, begin to harden within a few hours. This rapid transformation ensures that even the youngest porcupines possess some level of protection from predators. The mother provides care and protection during the early stages of development, but porcupine independence arrives relatively quickly. Within weeks, the young animal begins sampling vegetation and exploring its surroundings. Over time, it learns the feeding routes, shelters, and survival behaviors necessary for life in the wild. Porcupines are not highly social animals, yet they maintain loose connections with others of their species through overlapping territories and scent communication. These subtle networks allow individuals to share landscapes without constant conflict, maintaining a balance between independence and coexistence. Across continents and habitats, porcupines demonstrate the power of evolutionary specialization. Their quills, once simply modified hairs, have become one of the most recognizable defensive adaptations in the animal kingdom. Combined with strong teeth, climbing ability, and patient nocturnal habits, these features form a survival toolkit that has allowed porcupines to persist for millions of years. Yet even such well-adapted creatures face challenges in the modern world. Habitat loss, expanding human development, and road networks can disrupt the landscapes porcupines depend upon. Forest clearing reduces the availability of feeding trees and shelter sites, while traffic accidents pose risks for animals moving slowly across roads during nighttime foraging. Conservation efforts rarely focus exclusively on porcupines, yet the protection of forests and natural ecosystems benefits them greatly. Healthy forests provide the diversity of plants, shelter, and space required for porcupines to thrive. By preserving these habitats, conservationists indirectly support the long-term survival of the species. Beyond ecological importance, porcupines hold cultural significance in many regions. Indigenous communities across North America and Africa have long recognized the animal's presence in local landscapes. Porcupine quills were historically used in decorative arts, clothing designs, and traditional crafts, reflecting a relationship between humans and wildlife that stretches back centuries. Observing a porcupine in the wild can be a surprisingly memorable experience. The animal's slow movements, quiet determination, and distinctive silhouette create a presence that feels both ancient and enduring. It does not rely on dramatic speed or fierce aggression to command respect. Instead, it carries its defense openly, a living reminder that survival in nature often comes from patience, adaptation, and balance. As dawn approaches and the forest begins to brighten once again, the porcupine gradually returns to its shelter. The night's foraging has filled its stomach, and the rising light signals the end of its active period. Settling into the safety of a hollow tree or hidden den, the animal curls into rest while the daytime world awakens around it. Hidden within that quiet shelter lies one of nature's most unusual success stories. A slow-moving rodent, protected by thousands of quills, thriving across forests and landscapes that have changed countless times through history. The porcupine may not dominate ecosystems through speed or strength, yet its resilience and adaptability ensure that it remains a lasting presence in the natural world. And as long as forests stand and night falls over wild landscapes, the silent rustle of quills moving through the darkness will continue to remind us that even the most unlikely creatures can master the art of survival.